Love is what we are. It's our very essence. It's our being. Why are people in relationships to begin with? It's really because of the joy that comes from it. If we suffer, it's because we put up some blocks against love. Have at least one full day of silence where you don't say anything at all and see what happens.
What is wow? What is the importance of words that we use? I really learned from Patriji. He always told that you're not supposed to judge people, you're not supposed to complain about people. So he used to say that you cannot complain and judge about how people think and what people do, but you can definitely judge and complain about what they speak. So, speech is the area, the words are the area where we need to be very, very conscious, because there are good words, bad words, right words, wrong words, words with clarity, words without clarity, speech that justifies and speech that unjustifies. So we need to be very conscious about where our words are coming from, the intention, from the which space the words are coming from. So today we will be getting to know words coming from the love space, how that will have a healing energy, how that will heal people, how that will transform people. So having that intention of love in the words that we speak. Today, we are going to experience that with James Parker. So, he is a very simple guy. When we ask him about the intro, please give us an intro we want to introduce, he will say, just say that I'm a spiritual scientist. That's it. You don't need to introduce me in any other way. So, we have a lovely person who will bring all of us into this moment, into the loving energy. So please join me in welcoming Dr. James Parker to the session. Hello, James. Good morning.
Hello, Prithvi. Thank you so much for having me. Good morning and good evening, depending on where you are. I'm in Eastern US. I am in North Carolina. So for me, it's morning. It's a little after 8 o'clock. So yeah, thanks for having me on. This is great. I'm happy to be here.
Let's dive into the conversation. And yes, James, so the topic that you chose is healing power of love, which is very, very important. The word love is most important to all of us. So, first of all, to start off with, James, when people say that love, they often, think of an emotion between two people having it. But what exactly is love? Is it an energy? Is it an emotion? Or is it a consciousness that we live in? What exactly love is?
Right. Oh, this is such a great question. And this is one that I think many people would struggle with, right? How do we define love? What is it really? People have ideas, of course, about what it is, and whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. But I will tell you how I see it. So, first of all, um, love is what we are. It's our very essence. It's our being. That's really what love is. Love is the ground beingness of what we are. And the way I like to look at it is that we are all one self having an experience as a multitude of selves. And when we remember what we are truly, the one self, that's remembering what we are as love. Love is recognizing our very beingness for what it is. It's the truth of what we are. Expressions of love or aspects of love can be expressed as peace and joy, most commonly. So, when you're having a very peaceful experience, like when you're deep in meditation, this is an aspect or an expression of love. And when you're very joyful for no reason at all, just because you're you, that's another expression of love. And so love is kindness, love is willingness to give and to receive without any reservation. Um, Most of us are taught that giving is a good thing to do, but then we're not really taught very well about how we should receive things. And sometimes it's hard to receive things because we don't know that giving and receiving really are the same thing and really should be viewed as one and the same. And so when a friend presents us with a gift, we should always receive it with kindness and with gratitude. And that's an expression of love, being willing to receive without any conditions, without any feeling that, oh, now I owe you something in return because you gave me a gift. That's not a loving way to receive. A loving way to receive is to say, thank you, my dear friend. I really appreciate this gift. And so love is really the deepest aspect of our being. It's what we all are, it's what we share in common. It is an energy, yes, it's an energy which flows. Love is infinite, love is everywhere. Um, you now, some people may say, well, I don't see it, I don't know where it is. Where is it? You said it's everywhere, it's infinite. It is everywhere, it is infinite. You can find it anywhere. uh, but you can also not be aware of it for many reasons. You cannot be aware that love is there, and this is where problems arise. So that's how I see love. I hope I answered that question for you.
That was too deep, James, because you said it is the very essence, and there are certain qualities that we show up as we are in love, like kindness, gratitude, and we be in peace and compassion. That's so beautiful. Uh, and one more thing is, James, like usually in a relationship, people consider love to be an attachment. They mistake it to be an attachment and dependency, have an emotional dependency, which is actually fear based. It is not love based. So how can one get to that awareness where they need to know that they are operating from fear, the attachment and the
Mhm.
dependency is coming from fear and not out of love. So
Mhm.
how one can recognize and correct
Mhm.
the way of they approach a relationship?
Right. Yeah, that's a great question. So, a lot of times when we observe relationships, we do see that. We do see that people who are in a relationship realize that it's a valuable thing, but they also immediately start thinking, "Oh, I don't want to lose what I have. I am," and it becomes an attachment. It becomes a codependent situation. And this is the part that can be, I'll just say unhealthy, because it kind of tends to block love, as much as you don't want it to. That can be the effect of it. Once it's a strong dependency, um, what happens in that kind of a situation is that um, people will have expectations. They'll expect something, right? In the relationship, they'll expect you have to be here for me at this time because I need something. And when we have these kinds of expectations for the other, um, it's not really a loving relationship anymore. Love truly doesn't want to put a limit on anything or anyone. Love accepts all that is now and as it is. And if something changes, love is willing to accept that change and not impose something on it. Like an expectation is kind of almost an imposition of, well, it has to be the way I see it, or I'm not going to approve, or I'm going to withhold my love. And so we have to, when we truly love another person, we only want that their will be done. Okay. We say, I want the best for you, and I'm not going to tell you what's the best for you. You know exactly what's the best for you, and I want that. And therefore, under in those situations, if you truly want what's best for the other, and the other loves you in return and truly wants what's best for you, if the best for both of you is to be together in a relationship, then there's absolutely nothing to fear about that relationship coming to an end. It's a spontaneous, natural relationship. There's no forcing of it. And this is the best kind of a relationship to be in. It's not a fear-based relationship. It's a relationship where each one can express exactly how they're most comfortable expressing themselves without any expectations of the other. And it's really important not to have the expectations because the expectations imply that there's judgment. And whenever there's judgment, I always say it's a negative thing. It's not a good thing. Whenever we judge anyone for any reason at all, it's never a good thing. And so we've got to be in a position in our relationships where we're not judging the other person, but we are supporting them and we do want what's best for them because whatever's best for them is really best for us too. And under those conditions, the relationship will really flow very smoothly. And the two, if it's two people in a relationship, they'll just have so much more joy and peace together. And joy is really the key, right? It's like, why are people in relationships to begin with? It's really because of the joy that comes from it. There can be lots and lots of joy that comes through being with another person. And that's love expressing itself. When you feel that joy coming through, it's an expression of love. It's a sharing of love energy between those two individuals, and it flows most freely without judgment and without expectations. So when we have the judgment and the expectations, it gets in the way of love. And it really does detract from the relationship. Even if you don't know that it does, it does. And so that's another reason just to put it down and not judge, but just be content that you are with that other person. So hope that answered your question.
Wonderful. As you just said, expectation kills the joy in the relationship, and deep acceptance is also equal to love. That's what Buddha says. Love and deep acceptance go hand in hand. That's really beautiful, James. And James, it's often easier for people to uh, give love to others. That's what they think. It's easy to love somebody else than their own self. When it comes to their own self, they carry a lot of judgments, resentment, and grief within them, and they think that sacrificing is loving others, and they really don't think of loving themselves. So I think everything starts with self love. So, what do you say about that?
Yes, I totally agree. And this is another area where I think many people may struggle, and that they do believe that, love is giving to others and being there for others. And, in all of this that they want to do, they forget to look at their own self. And it's so important to look at your own self and to be content with who you are and to be accepting of who you are and to remember that what you are is shared with everyone. And so when you look at another, you remember that there's at the very base essence level of who you are, there is no difference, absolutely no difference. Okay. There's differences in appearance, of course, but who we are is a shared identity. And so we want to remember that our own self, as we see it, is just as important. It's equally as important as other selves. And so one of the blocks to love is judgment. When we judge, it's typically negative, but even if it's a positive judgment, it's not great because it implies that there could be a negative judgment. And so judgment is best to be put aside and never used, because what happens when we make a judgment, and we can judge ourselves too, and that's primarily now what I'm going to talk about because of your question. Um, we can have expectations of ourselves, you know, and you can think of many, like, oh, I'm a student, and so I need to get an A in this class, and if I don't get an A, well, you know, I'm not going to think too kindly of myself, right? If I don't get that top level grade, I'm going to be very unhappy with myself, and I'm probably going to do some things that aren't very loving towards myself because I'm holding a judgment. Now, what's the judgment do? It puts it establishes a grievance, right? It establishes this grievance that says, I now have a problem because I don't accept what is. I don't accept myself. I am projecting some part of myself out, you know. I have failed because I didn't pass this class, or I didn't get an A in this class, or I got fired from my job and now I feel like I'm worthless and my wife's upset. And, you know, so there's lots and lots of ways to judge ourselves, and it's all wrong, okay? It's all absolutely wrong. You just want to remember that. Anytime we judge ourselves, it's wrong. Uh, but when we do, we have a grievance. And the grievance is an example of using thought in a wrong sort of a way. So people will say, well, what's mind for anyway? Why do we have a mind? Why do we think? Well, the mind is there because it's a mechanism by which spirit expresses itself. Okay? That is the function of mind. That is why mind exists. Mind exists so spirit can express. We also have a physical body. The physical body exists so that we can have a physical experience. And that's the whole reason for it. Now, you can misidentify what you are, and you can mistake yourself as a body. You can say, oh, well, there's this body here. I must be that. All right. I am that body, right? That's a mistake. That's a mistake that many people make. And that's called the ego thought. The ego thought says, I am a body. I am this limited individual that's limited in time, that's limited in space. It's completely wrong thinking. And the wrong thinking is what gets us our problems that come up. What we are in fact is spirit. We are the one being of the universe, united in spirit. That's what we are. And the spirit cannot be contained by a body. But the spirit expresses itself through the body. But when we have the wrong thoughts, like I am a body or I'm holding a grievance, the result of that is that the flow of energy from spirit through mind and into body is blocked. The grievances block the flow of love energy. And so, can the physical body live without love energy? And the answer is no, it can't. You know, you can feed the body, you can water it, you can clothe it, you can shelter it, but without love energy, the body will become sick and it will die, because the love energy is the basis for the body to be alive in the first place. Love, another way to look at love is the energy that holds life and awareness together. Okay, so life and awareness are both aspects of spirit. Spirit is life. Spirit is awareness. What holds these two aspects together in the body is the love energy. The love energy holds them together. So, if the love energy is blocked and it flows from spirit through mind into body, if it's blocked, then the life and the awareness aren't held together tightly anymore. And the life energy can leave the body, or if it's diminished, the result is illness and sickness. Okay. And so, dropping the grievances is super important. And the way we do that is by forgiving. We just forgive ourselves for everything that we thought we did that was wrong. We thought, oh, it was wrong to, you know, do whatever. I didn't get that A in that class. I only got a B or a C. And so I was kind of hating on myself. That's that grievance that's now blocking the love energy. And now I could get actually sick from that. I could develop any kind of sickness from holding a grievance like that. But I gotta realize that I need to forgive myself. I need to accept myself for who I am, accept the present moment for exactly what it is. And in accepting myself, I'm expressing love towards myself. And that's why it's really important to forgive, forgiving oneself and forgiving others. So we can judge against others too. And it's always the wrong thought. It's always the wrong thought. So when we do it, it's really important to forgive. And we'll forgive ourselves for doing it, and we'll forgive the other for whatever. They didn't meet our expectations, or we felt they did us wrong. We just need to forgive, because forgiveness points us right back towards truth, and truth is love. Okay? So forgiveness is correct in the sense that it points us right back to where we need to go in order to regain our health and our peace and our joy. Because without forgiveness, we'll be trapped in not accepting who we are, and we'll be trapped in believing these wrong thoughts that we're holding. So forgiveness is the pathway to truth. Forgiveness itself is not truth, but it's the pathway to truth. And that's why it's so important.
So, James, while talking about it, you said that in the present moment we need to accept, and that's how we allow the love to flow within us. So, what is this peculiar link between love and present moment?
Present moment exists without any sort of expectations. So the mind can decide that it wants something to be a certain way. And so what can happen is we can live in our mind, and we can live in a future that we create, and we say, well, if I don't like something that it is now, I'll just live in my mind, and I'll I'll hope something changes. And it's okay to have hopes, and it's okay to work for change if you don't like something. I mean, certainly, definitely work for change that you want to see. But problems can come when you live in your mind, because whatever future vision you have isn't necessarily reality. It's basically a dream. The a more accurate picture of what is the present moment, because the present moment exists without any any sort of influences from your expectations. And so if you can see what is now and have an accepting point of view of it, and a welcoming point of view, even if it's not great. Like, let's say a person is feeling unwell, there's an illness. Um, a good way to start to recover from an illness is to start to be in an accepting way to deal with it. Don't deny it. Don't say it's not true. Don't say, oh, I just wish it was gone. A better way is to accept that it's there, but also to know the truth of the situation. And the truth of the situation is you're an infinite being, you're a powerful being, and you create your reality. You create your own reality with every thought you have. So, whatever thoughts you have is creating your reality as the time unfolds. And so, if you don't like this illness, you can change it through your thinking. All you have to do is say, well, I'm going to be with this illness for now because it's here, and I'm not going to label it. I'm not going to call it whatever my doctor calls it, you know. I'm just going to experience whatever sensations are coming through the body without resisting it. And at the same time, I'm going to say, this is not what I want. I don't want this. And cancel the idea that this illness is with you. If your doctor said, oh, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do about this, you're just going to be on these meds for the rest of your life, cancel that idea. Just say, no, I don't agree with it. Don't agree with it. I'm an infinite being. I'm a powerful being. I'm an all-powerful being. I create my reality. I don't agree that that's true. In fact, it's so untrue that it's a ridiculous thing to believe in. And withdraw your power of belief from it that you could be sick, while at the same time forgiving yourself and others so that you can unblock blocks that exist in the mind that are preventing the flow of love. So as these blocks are unblocked and your thought process is changing to, it's absolutely ridiculous that I could be sick like this. I'm an infinite, all-powerful being, and I choose what I want, and I'm choosing health because I'm love, and I want to express my love the way I want it. And that illness will clear up as the blockages are removed and as you go deeper and deeper into your experience of love. The illness may clear up immediately without any time at all, or it might require some time because it can sometimes be important to withdraw your power of belief that's behind that illness, that's powering it and giving it its own reality. And so all of the power comes from the spiritual level through the mind. And the mind then is very, very important in all of this. We have to be able to control the mind with our own will. Our will controls the mind. And that's another reason why meditation is super important, because in meditation, we get to see how the mind can become very calm and very still. And we can witness the power of love that lives in the heart and how that power flows between spirit and mind and body. And when we access that power, we can cure ourselves, we can cure others. I personally have witnessed myself to be cured from many illnesses. I've had some chronic illnesses that my doctor told me would be with me for forever, and here's some pills and take one a day every day forever. And and it's an industry. It's an industry. They know there's a lot of money in that, and it's a dependent relationship that's set up between you and your doctor. And it's okay. I'm not saying going to a doctor is a bad thing. It's okay, if you have to go. But if you get into a situation like that I was in, where I went to my doctor and my doctor just said, well, here's some pills. This situation that you have is chronic, and I don't see this changing. But if you take these pills, your symptoms will be manageable, and you're going to be better. That's not ideal. And I think most people would agree that they don't want that. Some people will settle for it because they think that they have to. They think that there isn't another option. But you don't have to settle for that. You can withdraw the power of belief that's behind that illness, and you can say, I don't agree with this at all. Cancel that idea, and I am an infinite being. I'm an all-powerful being. I am love. And when that love energy flows, you will suddenly find yourself completely 100% healthy. And the illness will just be gone. And you may not even realize it. Like I didn't realize it when it happened to me. I didn't realize the illness was gone. I still was taking my pill. But I realized that I felt great. And I thought, why am I taking this pill? I feel great. I don't even have the symptoms. I'm just getting rid of the pills. So I threw the pills in the trash and I didn't need to go back to my doctor for any more pills. And so that was great. So I had like several things that cleared up all at once. And I'll give you an example of one thing that I had that didn't clear up all at once. And I had to think about why that was. So I had seasonal allergies. And the seasonal allergies started for me, I think I was about 26 years old. And before that in my life, I never had allergies to tree pollen. But one year, I suddenly was suffering from a major episode of allergies, and I could barely breathe. It was a really rough situation. I didn't know what was happening. And so somebody told me, "Oh, you have allergies. Look, there's all this pollen in the air. You're allergic." Okay, give me the meds, And I took the meds and they helped, but it's still not great. You're still suffering. And when I had my experience of unconditional love, the unconditional love was able to flow through my mind because I had been meditating, and the meditation removed the blocks to the flow of love. Okay. That's exactly why I had the experience, because I had been meditating, and I had been even meditating in a group of other people who were already at the level of love. They were already experiencing it. And so that can actually help a person too to remove the blocks when you're in the group where some of the group members have removed their blocks and love is flowing freely. Because if it's flowing freely through them, it'll have an even better chance to flow through you as you meditate. So that was my experience. I had this experience of unconditional love, and immediately most of my illnesses cleared up without any warning. They were just gone. And it took me a little while to see that they were gone. Um, but the allergy was still there, and it was there, but it was in a mild form. It wasn't at all severe. It was just kind of there. And I got to thinking about it, and I was thinking, wow, I wonder, everything else went away, but I wonder why this allergy is still here. And so the more I thought about it, the more I thought it has to be because I'm believing in it. I'm believing in the story that I was told that you're allergic to this tree pollen. Somebody told me that when I had my first big episode. Oh, you're allergic to this tree pollen. Well, that thought came in and I accepted it and said, yeah, that has to be true. I believed that without any question. And so the allergies were still there, but it was a mild allergy. And so I started withdrawing my power of belief from it. I started to say, no, I'm not allergic to tree pollen. That's ridiculous. I don't want suffering. I don't want pain. That's not love. And as I told myself that every day, the allergy cleared up. And now it's completely gone. I don't have any more seasonal allergies. So that's my story on healing, and I hope you can get something out of it that you can take away. And if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Definitely, James. That's a inspiring personal story that you've gone through and healed your own self through love. So, James, usually when someone gets to know that they are having a chronic disorder or disease, usually their mind gets disturbed and there's a lot of negativity around them. You said that you were already meditating, but not everybody will be meditating. So, how will a person get to the state of love? Is it only through meditation, or is there anything else a person can do to get to the state of love and stay there to heal themselves?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so, the big challenge for people, as I see it, is how do we get past these stories that we tell ourselves that aren't true? Okay. And everyone has to go through this, I think. We have lots and lots of stories that we tell ourselves that aren't true. And, the basic story is that I'm a body, I'm a limited self, I'm completely dependent on this body. Whatever happens to this body, it's me. And oh my, if this body dies, that's the end. you know and people believe that, and that's the tragic part of it. And when you believe that, it sets up all kinds of blocks to love. You can't know your true self, and so you have this false sense of self as to what you are. And getting out of that situation is the big challenge, because how do you get out of it? It seems so real. As soon as somebody tells you, hey, you're that body, and you believe it, you're stuck. I mean, you're stuck because the power of your beliefs behind it, and you don't even know it. You don't even know that you put the power of your belief behind it. And you don't even know that you have an option to change it. You think you're stuck and you think there's no way out because, hey, this is what it is. But it's not true. It's not true. You can change anything you want as soon as you realize that you create your own reality. And you create your reality through your thoughts. And so as soon as you say, I'm withdrawing the power of my belief that's behind this thought, that thought goes away. It has no more power to exist. It has no more power to affect you. And so I would encourage everybody to question, who am I? That's another way. So there's meditation as a way, and then there's contemplation as a way. And you can just question who you are, and you can sit quietly and you can ask yourself, who am I? And be with that, and try to see what comes up when you ask yourself, who am I? And a lot of times people will look at it initially and they'll see this story. I'm this name. I was born in this place at this time. I studied this thing. I am my job. People identify with what they do and places where they grew up. But all of it is just a story. And then you come to the question of, well, am I a story? Is that what I am? Maybe I'm a story, you know? Am I a character in a book? and and then you realize, as you keep contemplating it, no, that's not right. I mean, that's what's happening, but that's not really what I am. And so I would encourage everyone to dig down, and try to see that at the base, at the bottom of everything, what's happening is there's love, there's awareness, there's beingness, and there's life. And this is really what we are. This is what we are. Love is expressing itself as awareness, as life, as joy, as peace, as beingness. And when you can identify as that, that's a much more truthful way to see who you are, and not as some limited body. And so I would say a person should also use contemplation as a way. And I learned contemplation because I was reading the teachings of Ramana Maharshi, and he always told people, ask yourself, who am I? That was how he advised almost every single person that came to him. What should I do? He would say, ask yourself, who am I? Stay with that question until you find the answer. So that's another way of doing it.
Wonderful, James. And the way you were saying we need to contemplate on who we really are. That's what Patriji was saying, that the first level, alpha level of enlightenment is to know there is no death. You are infinite, and you are a soul. You live forever. That's the first level of enlightenment. And as you go on, you reach a level that is called the omega of the enlightenment, where you understand you are everything and you are everywhere. That's the ultimate state of oneness. So it was such a beautiful conversation with you, James. Now that the most big ventures today, they are driven by ambition and numbers and ego validation. But for a mega project like Omega to be created with the pure sense of love, what needs to be done?
Hmm. Yeah, I suppose, when we act through true unconditional love, we're acting in a selfless kind of a way. We're not looking for any personal gain. We're looking to do what's best for everyone. How can I achieve the greatest good? How can I eliminate the most suffering? Not necessarily how can I make the most money? How can I, you know, how can I get compensated for what I'm doing? This is the selfish way to act, and I know people do it, and I know why they do it. But if we can be much less selfish and much more loving in what we do, we can actually get a result that's optimal. And we can many times get to that result very quickly and with less effort, surprisingly. People feel like they have to work and put in a lot of effort. And you do when you're acting in a selfish way because you're trying to get compensated and you're trying to maximize your compensation and you're always looking for an opportunity for a payoff. This is a lot of work, you know. It can be very draining on your energy. Um, but when you're acting in an unselfish way, in a loving way, and you're trying to serve others by serving love. So if you remember, if you think about service, what is service? Well, for me, service is how can I best serve love? Okay. I don't want to serve the false self. I don't necessarily want to serve someone's interests or a particular agenda. But I think the best way to operate is to say, how can I best be in service to love? And then go in that direction because that direction will lead you on the path that's going to yield the best results for everyone. Okay. Love cares about everyone and wants the best for everyone. And the will of love is not that anyone would suffer. Okay. If we suffer, it's because we put up some blocks against love, and that's why we're suffering. Um, and so I would just say, ask yourself, how can I best be in service to love? Um, I'll give you a small example of what happened to me yesterday. One of my neighbors came over and was talking to me, and she told me about how her daughter is at the university and needs to take a chemistry class this summer in order to pass through her major area. And her daughter's very, very bad at chemistry and is very worried about this. And I said, oh, my PhD is in chemistry and I teach chemistry over at the tech college. And she said to me, oh, do you think you could help my daughter? Do you think you could tutor her? And I said, sure, I can, of course. Just give her my information, tell her to contact me. And I didn't ask for anything in return. I didn't say, here's my rate, I charge this much per hour. I just said, Tell her to contact me. I'd be happy to help her. And my intention is to just help her. If she calls me, I'm going to help her. And if she asks me, what do you charge? I'm going to tell her I don't charge anything. If you want to give me something, that's fine. I'll be happy to accept it. But I'm not going to charge anything because I want to do this to help you. I have a job, my job pays me. I don't need extra money. And I do like to help people from time to time. So I'll do it in service to love. And really that's why I do my jobs too. I have one full-time job and I have two part-time jobs and it keeps me super, super busy. And I realize I'm doing it because I love to do it. I love to help people. I'm so busy, I could easily quit one or the other of those part-time jobs and I would have enough money and everything would be fine. But I look at those part-time jobs and I say, wow, I'm really helping those people out. They really love the service that I'm giving to them. It's very beneficial for them. I love giving this service. I don't want to quit these jobs. And so I'm continuing to do that work and we'll see how long that goes. I think it'll go for a long time because the energy of love is flowing through me and propelling me. And I don't get tired. I don't get exhausted, even when I work all day long. So, so that's my advice on how can we best get a result. It's to be in service to love.
Would it be possible to dive into how love transcends beyond space and time, and couple of examples that can help to realize our potential and possibilities with love frequency?
Mhm. Yeah, sure. I mean, love definitely goes beyond space and time. Space and time are mental constructs, and they don't have any objective reality. Okay. This is one of the mistakes people make when they look around with the body's eyes. They think, oh, space exists, it's an external reality. Oh, time must exist, it's an external reality. But it's not. It's not an external reality. It's a product of your state of mentation. It's a product of looking at the world through the body's eyes. So there is no time, and there isn't even any space, honestly. But it seems that there is. And so, you know, uh, if you truly know yourself, you know that you always were, and that's like an eternal. Uh, that's looking at eternity. When you know yourself truly as you are, you know that time doesn't exist. When time doesn't exist, that's eternity. Eternity is now. It's exactly now. It's not a second ago. It's not a second into the future. That's mentation. Eternity is exactly right now. And now always is. Always. So eternity always is. And there is no time. And so if you ask yourself, well, was there a point when I didn't exist? And is there coming a point when I won't exist? No, that's a false idea. You always were, you always will be. You're always this love, you're always this love energy. You're always this awareness, you're always this life, you're always this joy, you're always this peace. That's exactly what you are. You're always that. Even when your mind gets in the way and says, we got a problem here, and you start to believe, oh my, we got a problem here. Um, you're still that. You're still that love. You're still that joy. You're still that peace. Even if it goes out of your awareness because some thoughts come in to distract you from what you truly are. So eternity is now. And that's why it's so important too when we talk about the present moment and looking at it and accepting it, because that all time is contained in the present moment. Okay. So that's the correct way to look at it. So I hope I answered your question. Sending wishes and sending blessings is a way to express love, and we can do that with our thoughts. We can extend good wishes and goodwill and loving energy to all those around us, and that's always a great thing to do. Love always seeks to extend itself, always seeks to increase itself, And so wishing others well is a way to extend that love and to increase that love. And when we wish others well, it comes back to us also. So whatever we send out, whatever we give, ultimately we're receiving that as well. Okay? So if there's ever this temptation to be mean to someone or to be unkind to someone, remember, whatever you send out will come back to you. So that's a good reason not to send out unkind thoughts or because it goes around, it comes back, and it comes back because it's a way for us to learn that that may not be the best way to love others through unloving thoughts, and so we learn. There's plenty of opportunities to learn, and that's actually, learning is a loving thing to do because it helps us to see truth and it helps us to lose false ideas. So learning is always a great thing.
How do we know when we are truly following with love rather than acting from the mind?
Right. Good question. So my experience with love has been that once the unconditional love came to me, it was like a feeling state that came into my heart level chakra area, and it caused the heart level chakra to catch on fire, basically, with a very, very warm, burning sensation, very pleasant, not unpleasant, but very, very warm, enveloping sensation that I can say is the fire of love. And that fire of love sometimes is like little coals, like embers, glowing embers, and sometimes it's burning brightly and flowing very strongly. But being aware that that love is flowing can always help to know, am I doing this with love or not? Is this love flowing through me and wanting to extend to others and being kind to others and helping others when they need my help, when they ask for it? Am I willing to give my time to others when they ask me for it? And so when somebody asks me something, I very much try to accommodate if I can, if I'm able to, I'll accommodate them. And so when we act from a non-selfish way, right? I'm not looking for profit motivation. I'm not looking for some personal gain. But somebody just asked me, hey, can you do this for me? And I just say yes because I just want to help this person out. That's a sign that you're doing it for love. You're not entering into some quid pro quo relationship like, oh yeah, sure, I'll help you with that, but now I'm going to expect you to turn around and do me this favor, right? Because as soon as that happens, you're not doing it for love. You're doing it for self-interest. And self-interest is typically not love. So you can always ask yourself, why am I doing this, right? Why am I doing anything that I'm doing? And the answer is, if you're doing it truly, you're doing it because of love. Okay, you're doing it out of love because you recognize that that other person who's asking you for some help, it's still you. I mean, there's always this sense of a me and a you, right? But at the very, very deep essence level, we're the same. Spirit is one. Spirit is one. Spirit is the level of truth. It's the level of love. And it flows through everything. And it's what we are. So this spirit is what I am, and it's what you are. And so if you ask me, can you give me some help? I know that request is actually coming from me. And of course I'm going to help me. Why wouldn't I? And so if you're doing it with that attitude, you have to be doing it for love.
Whatever comes without expectation from us, that's truly from out of love. And if there is some kind of sort of expectation, then it is coming from mind in simple way
Yeah.
too. Huh?
If it's
Yeah,
quid pro quo, I'll do this for you if you do that for me. That's not love. That's looking for selfish gain, you know. And people do that, and they do that in their relationships too. And so, if you do that in your loving relationship, then it's a way that you tend to limit love, and limiting love is never the best way to go. Okay.
yeah. There is another question. Is there any connection between love and silence?
Oh, yeah. Is there a question between love and silence? So I'll say silence is beautiful, and beauty is also an expression of love. Whenever we see beauty, we see love. And so if you see some natural beauty, if you see flowers and you recognize that beauty, you're seeing it in silence. Okay. The flower exists in silence. It doesn't say anything, it doesn't make a sound, but it exists for you. And it's love offering you a view of itself. When you recognize beauty, what you're recognizing is love expressing in form. You might see a beautiful sunset and all these colors in the sky, and you say, wow, isn't that beautiful? But who is recognizing the beauty there? Who? The question is, who sees the beauty? Does the sky know it's beautiful? Or is it love flowing through you, seeing this beauty and recognizing itself? And and I think that's what it is. I think it's this love that's flowing through, and it's seeing this natural beauty, this amazing sunset or these amazing flowers. And the idea hits, wow, isn't it beautiful? And it comes in silence. There's no sound. It comes in silence. And the recognition of beauty is love seeing itself expressing in a certain way. And so when we see beauty, that's another form of love manifesting. And typically it comes through silence. And being silent can be very, very beautiful. I've uh, I've gone through some periods of silence, not terribly long, a couple of days of intentional silence, and it can lead to some very profound experiences. So, recommend that to anybody who is searching for love. Try to have at least one full day of silence where you don't say anything at all and see what happens.
Operating from this state of love, selflessness, care, and how we conduct ourselves in corporate jobs where we see so many toxicity, where we spend a lot of time every day.
Yeah, these kinds of jobs can be very, very difficult and very, very draining. And I would say if you're in that kind of an environment, then always what you can do what's within your control. Okay. And what you can do is you can always be kind to everyone. Even if your boss isn't kind to you, you can still be kind to your boss. And you can be kind to all your colleagues. And if you're a boss and you have employees to supervise, you can choose kindness. You can choose to be kind to them, and you can choose to recognize their humanity, and you can choose to be understanding. If someone didn't meet an expectation, you can choose to treat them with kindness and compassion and understanding. And I truly believe if you do that, that people will work together better and that productivity will increase and that others will be very appreciative, even if they don't understand where it's coming from. There'll be some level of appreciation and they'll feel like they're noticed and they'll want to contribute more to the team because you're loving that person through your kindness. And when bosses are are mean and they want to punish because you didn't meet an expectation, it can actually, I mean, they're trying to get the productivity up by causing fear in the job place, but it actually can be counterproductive because a person may react in a way that doesn't really increase the productivity. But when you're kind to everyone, people appreciate you more for you, and they're more open to wanting to work with you and wanting to do things together. And that can really increase the productivity and keep your employees more motivated to keep working in the way that the company would really like for them to work. And so I think just being absolutely kind to everyone in this sort of professional environment really, really is the payoff for success, and not going down the road of, well, if you didn't meet this deadline, guess what? You're fired, or you're demoted, or we're gonna move you into this other job that's not so pleasant, or whatever the consequence is. A lot of times it's a very negative consequence, and people are afraid of that, you know? And instilling fear in someone is not love at all. It's not a way to be loving. And so being kind, I think, is the answer. And that I think the company will benefit greatly if we're kind to everyone that we're working with, because the productivity is just going to pick up. So that's the way I see it.
I would actually say that every word that you uttered, and just we didn't just learned some wisdom from you, but we really lived it. We could experience every word that you uttered. When you said love, we could experience love. When you said joy, we could experience that joy. So that's the presence that you bring. That's the flow of energy that you bring into the session. I'm really very grateful that I got an opportunity to have a conversation with you. So, really, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for this session, James. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a very big pleasure for me to come and to talk to you and to share this time together. And I just want to say to everyone, I love you all. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and we're always together, whether it seems that way or not. Just remember, we're always together.